Hi Taurus, welcome to your end of January 2020 tarot update. It's Raina here. I'm just shuffling these cards. Got a lot of swords here. Okay. Three out of the 6 cards are swords cards. And swords can be conflict and also conversation. Conflict and conversation. The heart of the matter is the Hangman. This can be, to me, in some cases, what came to my mind first was being jerked around. You're left hanging, if you will, but that's what came into my mind. You're in a state of limbo for some reason. Perhaps there was something that you were promised and it hasn't quite come through yet. There is a work theme, because I'm going to talk about the past that kind of has influenced the situation. The Ten of Wands, maybe taking on your share, over your share, like somebody else's workload, or just it's carrying a burden that may not belong to you. So somebody who is doing the work of 2 people, or like if you have somebody on maternity leave in the office and they were supposed to come back on a certain date and they just keep postponing it, but you're not getting necessarily paid more money, but you're having to do more work. Or even, in some cases, maybe they throw you a few bucks, but it's just too much work and your working hours are too long. And maybe, when I see the Hangman, I think of waiting for this decision of whether or not you get a promotion. And it's like you're kind of jumping through hoops to get that promotion by working really hard. And these kinds of situations, unfortunately, are not the best to be able to feel successful, because there's too much dependency on other people, and there's that tendency to want to perform, like a trained seal, to try to get them to do what you want them to do. And they, call the shots, don't they? You could be working really hard, you could be busting your butt, and then they give it to somebody that's one of their cronies. And I don't mean to be cynical, I'm just saying that you can take yourself out of limbo. You can decide if you're going to continue to put up with this. Actually, the higher message is the Ace of Swords. So it's suggesting that you probably need to, that there's some kind of a new beginning, but the only way to get there is through being able to see the situation with clarity. And, so that means letting go of some of the, what would we call it? The illusion, the parts of the situation that you're glossing over, that you're trying to make okay, when they're really not okay, when they really disrespect you and disrespect, who you are, and they're not acknowledging how hard you're working for them. So you have to dispel that illusion. And especially if you're being promised something, when somebody's being promised something and they're kept hanging and on the line, it's like, it's very hard to feel like you can move forward, because you're still waiting for that thing. And if it's overdue, you start to get a little bit nervous. Was this all a ploy? Were they just trying to get me to do what they wanted me to do, and they were dangling this carrot in front of me? And so, in any case, what crosses you is the Page of Swords, and in this particular context, I might even think of other co-workers. See, usually this card in the workplace, the Page of Swords, I call the spy card, where the person is making a case for something where they're being treated unfairly, and they compile all their information, as it is often recommended to do when you are looking at preferential treatment and things like that. So they always tell you to document so that you can prove it. But in this case, because the Page of Swords is in reverse, to me this could be other people that are around you, especially a younger coworker, somebody who is more immature, who may be trying to sabotage you in some way, because they know that you're up for this position, and they may be like paranoid that you're going to get what they want, and so they'll do whatever it takes, whether it's poison the well and things like that. Now this card, specifically in the reverse, I'm reading as a reverse card, may not be about deception, but under the circumstances, it may be communication, since it's swords, that is not on the up and up, that is not constructive, and that could be against you. I'm just going to continue because I don't really have much else to say about that. What's coming in is represented by the Five of Wands, or this could be advice. This is a card. This, in some cases, you may need to kind of just get over yourself. Maybe in some cases you might be paranoid about a particular situation and think that because you haven't heard back that it means that you're not getting the promotion. And when I say promotion, maybe it's not the same for all of you. So please, kind of edit that for what your particular situation is. Because even like with a romantic situation, you can apply the same theme, where you're waiting for somebody. Maybe somebody has been jerking you around romantically, and either they are workaholics, they don't have time for you, and they keep promising they're going to go out with you, or maybe you got involved with someone, didn't know they were already in a relationship, and now they've promised they're going to leave that person. The Ace of Swords is about losing your delusional tendencies. I'm trying to think of something that isn't so rude, but the reason I say that is because I do believe that, I'm not saying that some people don't get involved with somebody that doesn't reveal that they're already involved with somebody else before they get involved with you. That part may be 100% true, but I would think that would make you much less likely to want to continue in that relationship, because they've already lied to you. They may not have said, you may have never asked the question, are you involved with somebody else? Because you just assumed that if they were willing to date, they were single. So the sin of omission times 1,000 in this case. And you may feel like now you're in this no man's land, and you are, until you see the light, Ace of Swords, and then you can decide. But with the Five of Wands, this can be about jumping into the fray, like not being afraid of competition. Competition can be toxic, and it can be friendly competition. This card can be a positive card of just like showing people what you've got, and kind of like, vying for the #1 slot and not apologizing for it. in some cases, this is showing you that you're in the wrong place. You're in a place where there's a lot of backbiting because it is it's a highly competitive environment, and that you don't really fit in there. Taurus people, being ruled by Venus, you're mellow. Unless somebody really, really, really gets you angry. But normally you're mellow, and you don't want that kind of a vibe going on in your life. You're a hard worker, but you're also somebody who likes to chill. And you're not an Aries. So you're not just on 24/7. You enjoy kicking back too. And this type of environment may be very draining for somebody like you. And it may not be the best fit for a Taurus person. The outcome is the Queen of Swords, and to me, I see this as having to make a decision, having to put aside emotions to make a decision that works for you and that really feels intuitively right. I'm going to pick an additional card just for the heck of it. This one kind of jumped out at me. It's the Three of Pentacles. This is a card of teamwork. So if you're in an environment where you don't have that type of camaraderie, and it's not encouraged by your, I was going to say your overseers, but your employers or employer, you have to think to yourself, what are they cultivating here? Are they cultivating goodwill? Are they cultivating good vibes? Or are they trying to pit one person against the other in a very toxic way to manage people to what they think get the most results? But it's really more of a situation of trying to manipulate people into trying to compete with others in a toxic way to enhance their own ego, because they're getting those strokes from the person in charge. And that kind of thing is a little bit unpleasant, Think about it. Think about that type of environment. How does that feel for people who are trying to have a good life? It can't be very happy to be constantly watching their backs, and you want to have this thing where you're building something together. If you have to be with other people 8 hours a day, you want to feel like you have a shared mission, and not this, every person for themselves, because that doesn't feel good to people who are, decent people. People don't want to be in that type of space. So the Three of Pentacles is about the architect building. It's the architect's card. So building your foundation. This is a foundation year, 2020. Adds up to the number 4. So, Three of Pentacles can be financial abundance. But the thing is, it's like, even though that can talk about financial abundance, it's not just isolated. You have to feel like when you wake up in the morning, the first thought isn't dread. The first feeling isn't dread, because you just can't stand where you work. And so finding a way to create an income stream where you feel very confident that this is a way to build something rather than shaky ground. Same with relationships. If you're in a relationship with somebody, and this is another reason why I say this, because sometimes I do get clients and they're in the beginning stages of relationship and there are all these problems. It's like, what? That is a shaky ground. That's shaky ground. Lying to you is shaky ground. Like going between two relationships, shaky ground. And not being able to choose, shaky ground. So in relationships, especially, taking it slowly gives you the chance to weed out those people who are not serious, who are just looking for a one-night stand or something like that. That they're just not. It all depends on you. When I do these types of readings, and I'm looking at love, for instance, I'm looking at people who are looking for a relationship, because why would you even care about a love reading if you're just looking for a one-night stand or something like that, or friends with benefits? That's not love. So, in any case, you are a Taurus, so you should resonate with the Three of Pentacles and understand exactly what I mean. I have Taurus rising, maybe that's why I said it like that. But in any case, Taurus, I hope that you enjoyed this. If you'd like a personal reading, I have all kinds of readings, especially astrology based. It's the link below this video. Take care. Bye.